Okay, so we're going to talk for a few minutes here about um, similes and metaphors and what they are and how we use them in our writing to improve our writing. And again, this is a little different than similarities, um, but similes and metaphors. This handout is not my own, and it is on Blackboard for you if you want to look through it. Okay, so a simile is when we do make comparisons, kind of like you were saying, Ines, but we use either the word like or as to make the comparison. Okay, so in this example, crooked is an adjective that means the opposite of straight. And so this food is called a pretzel, and it is not straight, it is crooked. And so in this sentence, the crooked road twisted and turned like a pretzel. And so here we see the word like, and it's comparing two things, a road and a pretzel. So if someone is describing a road that they drove down to get to their favorite national park, and it was winding and going up and down and all of this, just not a straight road, they could say the crooked road twisted and turned like a pretzel. And anyone who knows what a pretzel is would have a great understanding. A vase is something that we put flowers in, a glass jar. And here, that vase is as delicate as a flower. And so here we see we use like, it's like a pretzel, or it's as a flower. Okay? And so those are examples of similes. Okay? Real quickly, that poster, a poster is a picture that we hang on the wall. Like if you see if you look at Sarah's face on Zoom here, it looks like she has a bright poster behind her, right? And I can say that poster is as bright as the sun. And I'm comparing the poster and the sun. Or I might say that shirt is as white as snow. And again, when I use like or as to compare two things, I'm making using a simile. Okay. And one other example here: that baby is as cute as a teddy bear. A teddy bear is the small stuffed toy that babies play with. Okay. The other tool, I'm sorry, in our small groups, then we're gonna make some more comparisons. But since we're doing this over video, let me just do this real quickly. Here are some other examples. So similes use words like or as to compare, and I might say Susie is as busy as a bee, or he walks like a duck. If I want to describe someone whose walk is not very smooth, not very fluid, Bob is as quiet as a mouse. My throat is as dry as a bone. If I want to talk about someone who swims really well, I can say she swims really well, or I can say she swims like a fish. Or our dog is as gentle as a lamb, a baby sheep. Okay. And again, I'm comparing these things with these things using the words like or as. And again, here the word or, not and. So I don't say she is as busy like as a bee. Okay. So you only use as something or like something. And that's a simile. It's a tool that writers use to say a lot with fewer words. And again, we'll talk more about that, but that's what good writers often do. They say a lot with fewer words. The other tool that good writers use is called a metaphor. And a metaphor also compares two things, but it does not use like or as. Instead, a metaphor just says something is something else, or one thing is another thing, okay? So instead of saying the crooked road was as twisted as a pretzel, we can just say the road is a pretzel, or the road is a pretzel with its twists and turns. We can say the raindrops were, that's the be verb, remember is, am, are, was, were. So the raindrops were tiny diamonds on the window. And again, notice what that does instead of saying there were many raindrops on the window. That's a good sentence. It's grammatical. And my reader might know that, oh, he's standing at the window and looking outside and he can see rain. But if I say the raindrops were tiny diamonds on the window, saying one thing is another thing, it's very, very descriptive, and it allows the imagination of the reader to do some of the work. And I can use a similar diamonds for this metaphor. I can say, the stars are diamonds in the sky shining at night. Or I might say, the clouds are soft pillows that I want to lay my head on. And here, they made a mistake. They put a simile. So instead of saying the baby is as cute as, because that's a simile, I might say the baby is a cute puppy. Something like, I don't know, a cute lamb. Sarah didn't like that one, but but just saying one thing is another thing. Okay. So again, a metaphor makes a comparison without using the word like or as. Instead, a metaphor says one thing is, two things are, one thing was, two things were. You have to change the verb tense. And so here's a couple examples. When we say someone is a pig, oh, my sister is a pig. That's a metaphor. My sister isn't really a pig, but that might mean that my sister's house is messy or dirty, it's unorganized, and that is a metaphor, okay? It also might mean that she eats too much food. If we call someone an angel, and here, let me make up for my sister. If I say my sister is an angel, that means that she's kind and she's sweet and she's gentle, and her house is messy. No, I'm just kidding. If we say someone is a giant, we might be talking about their physical stature and their physical appearance, like they might really be tall and big, or we might just mean that when they're in a room, everyone notices them, or maybe they're powerful in a business setting. Maybe they just have this big presence, and so we might say, my uncle was a giant. Every time he came into the room, people stopped and looked at him and wondered what he was going to say. Okay. Here's another metaphor. We can say someone is a volcano. Okay, volcanoes explode, and I might say, my friend is a volcano, and that means he has a very bad temper, and for a long time he's calm and quiet, but pretty soon his temper just explodes. Okay, so again, a simile makes a comparison between two things, and with that we use the word like or as. And a metaphor makes a comparison between two things, and we say one thing is another.